Let's talk about Common Sense Minister Esther McVey. I mean, Minister for Common Sense. I mean, shouldn't all ministers be for common sense? She was appointed to that role, minister without portfolio, but this is what she's responsible for. Well, she's been doing a bit of a survey of civil service departments to find out how many diversity, equity and inclusion officers they've got and how much they're spending. And she's basically said those woke hobby horse delivery people are a waste of taxpayers' money, and that all civil service jobs dedicated to improving equality, diversity and inclusion, just as that is their job, will be scrapped under her plans. Well, let's talk about this with Callum McGoldrick. He's a researcher at the Taxpayers Alliance. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Julia.
Thanks so much for joining us. How much money, because we talk about lots of money, I mean, multi-billion pound spending by the civil service, how much money is actually going on these officers?
So there was a report done last year by Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor, that suggested it was somewhere around 27 million in Whitehall alone.
Wow. And again, that's not including all the ones in local councils, the ones in the NHS, running every sort of quango going where these people proliferate. I mean, they literally sort of, it's almost like they're breeding.
Well, yeah, I think in local councils we had an investigation that suggested that found that there were 700 diversity roles that cost 52 million over the last 3 years. And
that's our money. In all of these cases, that's our money that's paying for these people. What do these people actually do? Because I think we understand, you know, you've got HR people, you have to have someone who's dealing with, if there's a complaint or dealing with contracts, whatever. And I would have thought that it was a key part of their job not to be racist and sexist and homophobic and transphobic and Islamophobic or whatever you want to call it. And that it was their job to make sure that people were hired on merit and weren't discriminated against. But apparently those people weren't very good at doing their jobs, so we had to hire diversity officers as well. So what do they do that's different?
Well, that's the thing. No one knows what they do. We call them non-jobs. They work from home most of the time.
Yeah.
So they're never in the office. You know, they manage to get their workloads done with this, so clearly they're not particularly busy.
Yeah, there is that, isn't there? But that's the key thing, is sort of these people aren't necessarily aiding anyone getting a job done. They're not making sure your bins are collected. They're not operating on people or cleaning out bedpans in a health service. They're not actually, helping to fight a war in the MOD. They are just there to, as far as I can tell, just to sort of busybody themselves around and create more work for people trying to get the actual job of delivering public services done. Yeah,
I mean, really, they're just bureaucracy for bureaucracy. We see then there's hundreds of roles in Whitehall, there's hundreds of roles in councils. Add into this quangos, you know, we're totaling thousands of people that are all taxpayer funded that really don't do very much work.
So can we actually get rid of these people? We hear so much from this government about, we're going to get rid of this, get rid of that. You know what? It rarely ever seems to actually happen, because what we know is, particularly with the people in that HR world, and it's all very much related, is they hire their mates, and you can't hire anybody unless they ticked all the right boxes in terms of what they have done to promote inclusion, diversity in their workplaces. And what that usually means is, have you hung some pride flags up and have you told everyone who's white that they're a racist in their training? I mean, that basically seems to be what they do. So they're all kind of the same ilk. Even if you got rid of these people, and I don't think they will, the people who are doing HR already are already completely imbued in this stuff already.
I think the government deserves a lot of credit with this. They're tackling Whitehall, which is the sort of biggest blob and the hardest to overcome for a government. It will see that these roles are put into actual HR and admin jobs, which will hopefully mean they have something to do.
I'm not sure they're going to be very useful at doing it, and they're all paid a fortune as well. Here's the thing, though. Whenever the Tories announce something now, I'm always like, well, yeah, but this happened under your watch. This wasn't a thing 14 years ago, nor if it wasn't to the same scale. It's happened under their watch. How come they only just noticed in an election year?
Of course, you'd think that they should have been on top of this for longer, but like I said, I think that they do deserve credit for finally beginning to tackle it. I'm not sure that the next government will. So I would hope that one of the proposals is to give ministers a lot more oversight over hiring in the civil service.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that's needed.
That would be a good thing. We're pretending there's a neutral civil service best in the world. I mean, there's just simply no evidence for either of those statements anymore, is there? Really good to talk to you. Callum McGoldrick, who's a researcher at Taxpayers Alliance. Thanks for that.